What's up guys, how you doing? I am doing really well at the moment because I have got 3 videos in 2 days after not making videos for absolutely ages. And today I have got a nice little comparison video here of knipex versus Klein high leverage pliers. And these are both their 1000-volt rated offerings, and I just want to do a quick comparison. Now what I'm not going to do today is I'm not going to be like cutting loads of wire with it and everything like that, because I'm not really one for doing like comparison videos like that until I've used them a bit. A lot of pliers need a bit of wearing in, and you know, I can sit here chopping wires going, oh, this one does it this easy, oh, this one does it slightly more easy, this one's good at this, oh, this one's slightly, what I want is to actually use these things properly and, get a real good idea of how well these things actually work. These are both brand spanking new pliers. knipex shows that, as you can see, it's 2020. Yeah, I'm just going to look over it for the original, the initial sort of look at them to see what I think of them, and you can see what you think. So it's a massive bone of contention, is it, which is best, Klein or knipex? knipex are made in Germany, Klein are made in the USA. And anyone from the USA absolutely loves Klein tools and they swear by them. And most British people, or most people from Europe, they love the knipex tools, and a lot of Americans like knipex tools as well. But I'm not biased. I'm neither German or American, so I have no preconceived ideas of who I think should win here. I've not used any of these yet, so I've got no preconceived ideas of which one should win. I've owned these pliers before. I've owned smaller versions of these pliers before, and I never really got to use them much. Someone offered me a decent price for them, so I sold them, and now I've managed to get these for a decent price again. So I bought a brand new pair. So first impressions then, looks. Let's go for look, shall we? Well, I think, the Klein has certainly got a more funky design, hasn't it? It's gone for the orange and grey handles, and it's sort of got this, this sort of, quite a bit of a design about it, hasn't it? If you look at if you look at the outside of it there, it's quite funky looking, and it's gone for this sort of long head and shorter handles, whereas the knipex is more of a traditional sort of head, isn't it? It's got its own design in its own right. It's similar in a way, actually, isn't it? But it's sort of like a more chunky, bulldoggy head, and it's got far longer handles, and it's opted for that. Part of the reason for that, I guess, is that the Klein has got these built-in crimpers into it as well, which is a little gimmick extra. The knipex actually has the bigger head of the two. Now, one thing I am going to say is the Klein is 225mm long, the knipex is a 200mm long, so perhaps it's not a fair comparison in that way. But you know what, I wanted the 200mm knipex, and I wasn't going to just put up with having the 25mm extra just to do this review. So their comparison is 25mm. It's not going to make a massive difference, is it? But these are both their sort of top of the line offerings for these. These are the let's talking about the Klein then. We've got this dual layer. It's not climate control. It's dual layer insulation here. So it's got this white layer of insulation in underneath, and then on top it's got that insulation. Now the idea of this is, when the insulation wears away and you can see the white, then your insulation's compromised, so it gives you a good indication of whether you are protected from electricity at all. Whereas the knipex one, you just get your normal insulation, so if you get scuffs and tears in it, if you can't see the metal, I guess you're just sort of guessing as to whether it's any good or not. So a bit of a win for the Klein on that one with this dual insulation. It's a good idea, that, I think, a good idea. The Klein, as we just said, has a built-in crimpers into it. knipex, we're going to be doing that again, it does not offer that. You can't get one of these though. What they do offer is a high leverage version of this, which is more like that design. It's sort of got a bit of a longer head about it, a bit more sort of coming out from the handles. So that's about the closest they do, and they call that the high leverage pliers. And you can get a 225mm one as well, the same as these. They do offer the same, but I wanted a couple of different sizes, So now the knipex does come with this chrome finish on it. The whole head is chrome finished, whereas the Klein is more sort of a sort of industrial look. It's got sort of a polished finish with the black. The Klein feels a lot rougher to touch, especially on the blades and everything like that. It does feel a lot rougher, whereas the knipex feels so like lovely and smooth and shiny, and you know, the blades and the cut-in surfaces are all smooth, whereas inside the Klein it's all sort of quite rough inside. With regards to blades and cut-in surfaces, the Klein has one thing which I do really like, and I get this on the Knipex lineman's pliers. It has that sort of serrated crisscross. Sorry, it's not picking up very well on this camera. There you go. This sort of serrated crisscross edge on it like that, which is really quite nice for gripping, and I think it does a better job of gripping, in my opinion. Whereas the Knipex has more sort of the traditional sort of just straight across lined edge on it like that. The actual sort of this part here, which is sort of designed for gripping nuts and things, that's sort of wider and shorter on the Knipex, whereas on the Klein it's sort of longer and flatter. So there's a bit of a difference there as well. Now, the mechanical motion of these, the Knipex straight out of the box feels nicer. It does, because it just falls open. It's nice and loose, as you can see. Do that, it's nice and loose, just falls open. And you know, only when opening it fully like that do you get any sort of pressure put on it. And you know, I expect that will loosen over time. To be fair, I've had some Knipex that just fall open all the way, all the time, and I like that. I like the loose feeling of it. That's nice. The Klein is quite stiff. If I hold the Klein there and give it a good shake, that will not move. The Klein's pretty stiff. You have to push it open all the way. Opening wise, yeah, they're both about the same. Yeah, they're both pretty much of a match there, aren't they? They've both got the pivoting point pretty close to the blades themselves on this, so they both seem to have a sort of high leverage design of that, which is quite nice. Handles wise, now there's advantages and disadvantages. The Klein, you know, if you're using these handles and you're sort of working in something that's live, your hands are further away from the blades because they've left more of this exposed, so whatever you're working on is further away from your hands, which is good, I suppose. The disadvantage is that if you've got quite big hands like me, as you can see, there's not actually that much of the handles to hold on to, and you feel like you can drop that more easily. And you feel like when you're opening and closing it, maybe this is something to do with the stiffness of it, you feel like you almost want to use two hands like a kid when he grabs hold of it and just snap it back and forth like that. Whereas the Knipex, you've got these big handles, and they're a lot more comfortable. You can just flick them back and forth. They're a lot more comfortable to hold because you've got this extra handle space on here, and they feel nicer. But of course, you are a bit closer to whatever's in the electrical panel, so it depends whether you want to value everyday comfort over just being that little bit further away from stuff. For me, I just sort of buy 1000-volt rated tools because why not? They do exactly the same job as a normal tool. They're just as tough, but you got that 1000-volt rating if you want it. I don't necessarily use it. Quality wise, this is a hard one, man. They're both beautiful. They're just really stunning tools. They're both made beautifully to beautiful tolerances, and they're just, you know, they're just engineered beautifully, both of them. I can't knock either one, if I'm honest. I really can't. They're different, but I can't knock them. Little things I will pick up, and I'm trying to be fair to both of these. I'm trying to pick up advantages, disadvantages of them. The Klein, when you set it down, you know, that's a bit annoying. It doesn't sit very nicely because of these big beefy handles which seem to go all the way around, whereas the Knipex sort of sits a lot flatter. Now, one thing I will show you, if you hold the Klein up to the light there, you can't see any gaps in those blades at all, which is nice. That's a good idea. So that shows it's really well built. Now, the Knipex, I thought, yeah, I'm going to say much of a much, but actually, if you can see that, you can see quite a gap in the Knipex blades. And I found this quite a bit with Knipex, actually. Now, whether this is deliberate, I'd be interested to know what they say about this. I don't know, but quite often you see a bit of gap in Knipex blades, which I was quite surprised about. But the Klein has got a win there. There's nothing in there for the Klein, so that's good. Another little design I like about the Klein is that at the end of its jaws there, I mean, unless you want to pick up paper, this shouldn't be an issue for you. It's got a gap, whereas the Knipex sits nice and flush together. And you might think, oh well, the Knipex is built better, but actually that's not the case because the Klein actually has some room for wear and tear, so that when those blades wear down, then you've got a bit of room that, you know, the blades can come closer together. You've got a bit of tolerance in there. Whereas the knipex, when the blades wear down, you know, it's unlikely you're going to wear them down equally, the gripping end and that. So, you know, when the blades start wearing down, then, you know, you haven't got the room in there for the blades to do that. So you're going to find they don't fit quite as flush. Not that these blades should wear down on these though, very much, because they are, you know, they are both very, very well engineered. Now, and this is the thing, you get these knipex versus Klein and stuff, and you get these, you know, clear winners, but, you know, any tool's going to have advantages and disadvantages. I do think the knipex and the Klein tools do stand out from other tools. They really do. You know, there are some major advantages I can see here to the knipex, and there's some major advantages to the Klein. It's all going to come down to personal preference, where you like, really. And, you know, I think that's what people leave out, that these tools are personal preference. You know, I say I quite like the look of these Kleins. I think they look pretty cool. And then another day I might look at the knipex and think, actually, I prefer the look of them. The knipex, I'd say, is certainly more comfortable to use, and that is a massive thing when you're using them every day. And because they've got this chrome finish as well, which isn't an option with the Kleins, you can get the knipex in this sort of finish, which they call atramentized, but you don't get the option of this. So if you happen to work in sort of a damper environment or something where, you know, your van might be a little bit damp or your tools are exposed, then you might want to go for the knipex, because they offer this chrome option, which is going to stop your tools from rusting. There's also some reassuring grease which leaks out of the knipex on the seals when they're brand new, which is a good thing because it's greased up nicely. And I don't seem to be getting a lot of that from the Klein. There doesn't seem to be much grease leaking out of it. So I guess if I spray some WD-40 on it, then we'll do that. And I will have to do that with these and just sort of see if I can leave them sitting in some WD-40 or some lubricant to see if I can loosen these up a bit, because they're not very comfortable to use when they're this stiff at the moment. But I'm sure they will loosen up over time. I'm sure they will. And like I said, they wobble around when they're stuck on there, which is kind of who cares, really. I suppose it doesn't really matter. A lot of people will like the fact that the Klein's handles flare out to the end, which should sit nicely into your hand there and hold it in. But if I do that, I'm actually holding it up here, and I'm going to get blister pit. I'm going to get blood blisters and stuff up here. So actually, when I'm holding it down here, these handles aren't comfortable because my hands are actually coming off them. So from comfort point of view, I don't really rate these Kleins very highly. They're not that good. I mean, the grips are nice, they're high quality, but I do find when I'm using them, my hands are kind of falling off the edges. Whereas the knipex, they don't flare out to the ends, but, you know, they do sit nicely in the hand, and they're comfortable, and, you know, you feel you've got a good grip, and your finger sits nicely behind that bolster with your whole hand on it. Whereas if I put my whole hand on this, my fingers are up there. So, you know, that's another thing to sort of consider. Now, can I pick a clear winner out of these two? Not really. They both got advantages. I'm not going to go home crying if you were to tell me I've got to keep this one, I'm taking this one off you, or vice versa, you know. I tend to keep the knipex in my main bag because my other tools are knipex, and, you know, although I've got a lot of Klein tools as well, and my other cutters and things, I should say, knipex, so this one just matches nicely, so I keep it there. You know, this one has a sort of wider twist. Well, you say that, but it doesn't really have that much of a difference, to be honest. They're both about the same, really, with the head size. So there's not much to choose in them. Neither of them, I don't think, have got particularly hardened blades. This isn't the 2000 series, and I don't think they do a 2000 series of the combination pliers, only the linesman's. And I know the knipex combination pliers, I'm not sure whether these are hardened or not, but maybe the high leverage versions are. But I know their lineman's pliers come as with toughened blades as standard, whereas the knipex, you can get the non-toughened blades and you can get the toughened blades. The Klein, you can get both toughened and non-toughened blades of the lineman's pliers. So yeah. Now, but you know, it's boring if we don't have a winner. So we are going to choose a winner out of these. Again, it's personal preference, but it's going to come down to price. That's what it's going to be. Now, are you ready for this then? So the knipex, I paid £26. I'm not going to go with pence, okay? I'm just going to go with the nearest pounds. I paid £26 for. This is what they retail at. The Klein, £47. So yeah, if I was to pick a winner based on what one I would buy, which, let's be honest, that's what you're all looking at this for, and if you're watching this review, you're going to choose, shall I go for this one or should I go for this one? Is this £21 more of a pliers than this one? No. Is it more of a plier than this one at all? I don't know. It depends if you like some of the features. It's got some more features on it. It depends whether you like certain things about it. I would choose comfort over form, most things, but I mean, the Klein has won some points. I wasn't expecting it to win over knipex for the build quality, with the gaps in the blades and stuff. But is it £21 more of a plier? No, absolutely not. So I am going to choose which one would I buy. I would buy the knipex because it's far better value for money. The import tax, I'm sorry, is killing these Kleins, because if you were to buy these in America, that wouldn't be an issue with you, because it'll probably be the fact that the knipex costs more, actually, in America. So yeah, as a British engineer, I'd go for the knipex every time. And also the reason that they're just far more comfortable to use. For me, it depends what shape hands you have and stuff. For me, they're more comfortable to use. I love some of the features on the Kleins, and I am going to be keeping both. None of them are going to be sold. This will just go in my other bag, and I won't be buying a knipex instead of these. I'll just use these. I'm going to call round one though. Okay, so from first impressions, this isn't 20 odd pounds more of a plier than this one. But I'm going to use them. I'm going to take it in turns. I'm going to use them both for a fair amount of time. And in a few months, and I'm going to say a few months, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you if I can choose an overall winner, if the result stays the same, if there's a different result, if it's a tie, whatever. But I want to use these properly first. It's not about me cutting wires on first impressions. This is a first impression from quality and first appearances of them. When you're looking at these in a shop, you're not going to be cutting wires with them and playing with them, because they're not going to let you do that in a shop. You're going to choose them on what I've just gone through here, on the feel of them, the look of them, the quality of them, what you're looking at with them. That's where you're going to choose them from, and that's what I've gone for here, your initial thing of buying them. After I've used for a couple of months, I'm going to get back to you, and I'm going to see which one is the best performer of the two of them. So yeah, unbiased completely. I've got no affiliation to either of these. I'm not German, I'm not American. I've got no sort of patriotic views on them. It's just going to be what they are and how they work. So I hope you've enjoyed that, guys, that comparison. And please like and subscribe. Please comment on my videos, because I love to have a conversation about tools, because that's the whole fun of it for me. It's not about getting the most subscribers or getting free stuff when they're like, I just love to, have chats about tools and enjoy people who are fellow tool fans. So thanks very much, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon and you'll see when I put new videos up. I'm going to start putting a lot more up now. And I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.